Anita Matt,
Present.
Charmel Gillen, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Carol Langford, Len Titi,
Here.
Bing Matt, Ellie Bundy, Martin Charlo,
Present.
Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
James Steele Senior.
Okay, thank you. We've got a set of minutes from December 28th. Sorry about that. Ellie, do you want to lead us in a prayer?
Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today. Help us guide the decisions that we need to make on behalf of our membership. We ask that you be with our families, with our children, our elders, and all of those who are hurting today, who have lost loved ones recently. Please provide them comfort and care and just be with them during this difficult time. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Lemnich, Ellie. Okay, we have a set of minutes from December 28th. Abby, on page 11 of 16, about halfway down where I attended training on rural development. It was training on rural development loan packages and grants. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Abby. On page 5 of 16, Michelle Mitchell, and then it jumps down to where I discuss the letter from the AA, the AA school superintendents about their no confidence in the state superintendent in the Office of Public Instruction.
Go ahead, Martin.
On page 1, could I just add in, if you guys don't mind, where I'm talking about the vaccine clinic, that'll be, can I just add in there, it'll be held January 6th from 4 to 6 p.m., please.
Go ahead, James.
Thank you. Abby, on page 6 of 16, where Mark Couture came in, need to correct the spelling of Moise. Moise is not correct.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ellie.
Abby, on page 9 at the very top of a resolution, now therefore be it resolved that the blank tribe just needs to be completed.
Go ahead, Martin.
On page 2, about halfway down when I'm talking, when I start talking, can I change that the elder payment will be issued the first week of January? And then can the next sentence, can I say that the COVID relief, and it's not COVID relief, it's American Relief Plan, like ARP, that'll be sent out around the 20th of January. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Also on page 9, this is one that Bing may want to reconsider. It talks about Jace giving a presentation at the district meeting. And it says, Jace is knowledgeable about his business and is detrimental to the program. I don't think that's what Bing was intending to say. I'm assuming he meant that the wells drying up was detrimental. But I'll let you clarify, Bing, if that's true.
Make a motion to approve the December 28th, 2021 minutes with corrections.
Motion by James. Second by Mike. All those in favor? Len, I didn't see your vote.
I support.
Okay, unanimous motion carries. Did you find that correction yet being? Okay. Okay, we have the agenda for January 4th, and I take it we've got one walk-in, Lands.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that was one I was going to request to add to the agenda regarding the Bison Spring Ranch. Hey,
Okay, Carol? All right.
I have some things, just tribal member issues, but don't need any staff.
Okay. Are there any other additions? Martin?
I'll have an addition and open, please.
Oh, okay. With that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda with additions. Motion by Ellie. Second by Bean. All those in favor? Unanimous motion carries. We'll go ahead and take Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair and Council. So thanks for letting me come in as a walk-in. Tribal Lands has wanted to bring an issue up in front of you guys. The Bison Spring Ranch down in between Dixon and Ravalli, that was finalized last week. With that being said, is that since it had been finalized, we did purchase the 220 tons of hay that was on the property. So we are right now wanting to know what council's wishes are for us to do with this hay. Tribal Lands request would be to offer it up to tribal membership for purchase. If any of you guys have been following the hay costs this year, it is astronomical. I mean, it is brutal for the producers out there. Just today, I had staff take another look at it, call some producers of what the costs are going on out there. These are round bales that we have there. They're about 12 to 1,300 pound bales, so about half ton. And what the going rate is right now per ton is in the Missoula all the way to Kalispell. So the whole Northwest here is going about $350 per ton. So that's kind of a big dent into our producers that if they have to buy hay. We do have 85 round bales, 52 tons of a grass, first cut of a grass alfalfa mix. We have 87 bales of just which is 47.9 tons on the weights that were given to us of grass. That was first cut also. We do have 72 bales or roughly 47.52 tons of second cut alfalfa grass. And then 60 bales of hay barley, which is 36 tons of second cut. And then we have third cut alfalfa grass of 37 tons. Those rates are going from first cuttings are for premium and that are about $300 to $350 per ton. The second cuttings are going anywhere from $200 to $250 per ton, and so are third cuts. So Tribal Lands has requested that we offer this up for bid to tribal members at a max of 20 tons per semi-load of alfalfa grass, or all the grass hay that we offer it up. But if council wishes to do an allocated rate to the tribal membership, like at 50% of the cost.
Okay, Carol's got a,
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think, this is more of a programmatic thing, and I would suggest that we just go ahead and allow you to figure out what it would, what's the best way to handle this, and then just do it. But I believe you do need a motion to proceed, right? Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. That's what I would like to do, but I want to see if there's other council members that would like to make a comment first.
thank you, Carol.
I have
Yeah,
a comment.
go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you. Yeah, I would support offering it to our tribal member producers at a 50% discounted rate.
Okay, I was
Thank you.
just gonna say, I gotta go up tomorrow and do the closing on the property, so probably after tomorrow, it'd be great to take and advertise it. Go ahead, Sharma.
Thank you. I guess if my suggestion or recommendation would be that if we're going to provide a reduced rate to tribal members, that it be at specific quantities so that they're definitely using it for their own operation and not basically brokering it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharma. Okay, so Carol made a motion, and I believe that Lynn seconded to go ahead and advertise it. Is that what you're,
Yeah, Madam Chair, with Charmel's recommendation that we make sure that they don't do what she said, broker it.
okay, all those in favor?
Could we have the motion restated?
Carol made the motion to go ahead and advertise at an allocated rate.
And not, and to make sure that they're using it for their own operation.
Opposed? Okay, Martin opposed, abstain. Motion carries. Go ahead, Martin.
And the reason why I'm opposed is that, I thought right before this, we said that this would be a lands decision, and then we told them what to do. So, that's why I oppose that. I'm all for helping our producers, all for, giving out, this to help the people here. Maybe one thing too is to put, to allow all to do it. So put, first round of quota But again, I'm sure you would have done that, but we made the decision here, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, I just got a comment as well. What's there usually about 32 bales a semi? Are you gonna limit to that? And
We did reach out to a couple producers and they were saying it's about 20 tons per semi, so it'd actually be able to offer this out for at least 11 roughly semi loads of hay of the hay forage going out for the producers. So this could potentially assist 11 of our producers. If they wanted to do semi trucks wise, if they wanted to do smaller trailer amounts, then it could assist a few more producers. So we were looking at doing just as like what was requested was doing a semi truck to be able to provide for the 11 producers. Unless we get a lot more bids on it, then we would shrink in that amount. The max would be 20 tons.
okay, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I don't know how many cows a lot of our producers have, but like, let's say a head of 50 cows, how long would a semi like that be?
Probably a little over a ton a day,
Okay.
2 bales a day, maybe.
So it'd provide approximately about almost a month.
Oh, that's good.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark, if, once you get the advertisement, let's say 30 outfits apply, can it be distributed equally to all 30?
Yes,
And it will be at their expense to haul?
we'll have an advertised rate for so long, for like a 2-week to 3-week process is what we're looking at. To advertise for that long, depending on how many bidders and that we get on it for the rate that we're putting it out. We will split what we have there to reach out as many producers as we can, just to assist them.
So they're not actually bidders, they're actually just applicants?
Yes, applicants.
And do you have an idea on how you're gonna advertise?
That's what I'm actually going back to the office first to just making sure that it could advertise. I will present back to council after I'll email it out after we come up with what we're going to be posting out for advertisement.
Okay, all right.
You might
Thank
want
you,
to
Mark.
secure it. It's like gold right now.
Yes,
Make sure it doesn't get stolen.
my phone's probably going to blow up here pretty quick. Word of mouth gets out there pretty darn fast.
And how you're gonna keep a list on who applies first?
Yep, it's got to be a first come first serve. That's when they get to the calls of the emails, we're putting time stamps and dates and everything that comes into the office.
Okay, go ahead, Ellie.
Wouldn't first come, first serve not matter if we're going to do as Mike suggested and
We will, but it depends because we have so many limited supplies of first cut, second cut, and third cut. So it'll be distributed out, try to do it as equal as possible. We will go through the list on how we can provide it to everybody that is calling in. And we will go from a timing and when they've called in or emailed or however they contact the office. If they walk in, we will write down the time, their name with a date on when they came in. So then we can start distributing it out, how many people we have in that time frame to get them the product that they need. At a max load of a certain of 20, but it could be less.
I do have a question too. When they come to get it, who's gonna load it? Are you gonna supply a
We
tractor?
do have a
down
tractor
there?
on site.
Okay.
The equipment was purchased also. So we do have a tractor on site that we will have people that are there that will be able to load.
Okay, so you'll have to advertise the times or have
Yes.
staff available when they're gonna pick it up and pay for it.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Carol.
Just one clarification, you better look at the motion to see what it says, because I think it says first come, first serve, not what Mike said. So, but I like Mike's idea. If council's in favor of that, I'm okay with changing that, but I'm just not sure what the motion says. Abby, could you read it back?
Oops, Abby, can you read that back to us, please?
Advertise it at an allocated rate and to make sure they are using it for their own operation and do not broker it.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Mike.
and the first come, first serve is basically a choice of which of the hay. There's 4 different designations of hay.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
all right, thank you.
Thank you,
Mark.
guys.
Just a comment.
Go ahead, James.
Thank you. Yeah, Mark, it'd be good for you to hear. Years ago when we had purchased some land down in St. Ignatius, Carol had went and did that and got it successfully purchased for us at the bidding. But then a couple days after we had actually purchased it, folks had went onto the place and stole just about they stole just about everything, right, Carol? And the owner who we purchased it from had to go to the neighbors and get all that stuff back. And we won't say who it was, but clip, clop, clop, clip, clippity clop is kind of where it went.
Yeah, I definitely would put a chain on that gate.
Yes, we actually have somebody down there right now watching this stuff, and our guys are winterizing and locking up everything, putting hot wire around the fence and so forth too.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, Carol, do you want to go ahead with what you have?
Madam Chair, I seem to be getting more requests for use of the centers for recovery meetings. And I got a request for the one in Polson, and they wanted to start tonight, but I don't know if that's even possible. I know Patricia Hibbler had told me that they're gonna try to get those open this month, but I'm just not sure what to tell these individuals. This is for Polson. And so, I don't know. I know Martin had a request too for an individual that wanted to do one in Polson too. And if they could all come together and work together on it, it'd be great. But I don't know if there's a temporary location we could allow them, to use or whatever. I mean, besides having to rent a room at the resort, but I don't think that's gonna work. Thank you.
Did you have something, Sherman?
Yeah, Madam Chair. Carol, I was just gonna say, depending on the time, I know that the Boys and Girls Club in Polson made their room available. So if it was a temporary need, that might be an option. They have a nice meeting room.
And I would think if they could just get it coordinated, the HRD, on how they're gonna have people, apply to use them and taking some kind of a schedule.
These individuals, they're very careful about the locations they get, like in Dixon. Well, I went to a meeting in Dixon on Tuesday and they forgot the key at Quicksilver. They have to go and stop by the Quicksilver. And of course, I give them $10 in gas so they can get down and back, but it would be nice if they could have a key. I mean, it's just two of them. And I know that's difficult because then it kind of opens up the door to everybody, but just to make it more convenient.
Well, and I think we have to look at the departments too on how much work it's costing them if they're trying to coordinate, but. Okay, was that anything, Carol?
Yeah, and the church got vandalized, well, gas stolen, I should say, and there's a video of the individual that did it, and it's like the second and third time, but they say law enforcement doesn't do anything, and there was tracks to the house directly across the street, kind of across, not directly across, but across. And so I'm hoping that when law enforcement gets a call from anybody, they at least try to investigate it, especially when there's a video of the individual and that kind of thing. But it sounded like there wasn't much of a response. It's like, okay, that's the church, no big deal. Both Catholic Church and Mission and Father Hightower said the one in Arlee got vandalized and a TV was stolen from there. So I don't know how recent the TV one, but the gas was just a couple of days ago.
I wonder who they contacted, Lake County or, yeah. Go ahead, Ellie.
Patricia did join, if you want her to see if there's an update on the centers.
Patricia, do you have any update on the centers, which Carol's asking about?
This is Patricia. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of your conversation. So you're discussing what centers?
Go ahead, Carol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Patricia, we were just asking about the Polson Center. And I know you told me that they're going to try to open those in the middle of the month, but they were trying to have a meeting start tonight. So I'm going to check with the Boys and Girls Club to see if there's something available that they can use until those centers open up.
So you're asking about the senior centers, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the Senior Center in Polson.
Okay, and somebody wants to use it tonight for,
AA meeting or an NA meeting. Recovery, you know, drug and alcohol, yeah.
yeah, if you let me, I don't think we have them equipped in the policy in place yet because we were looking to open them up at the end of the month. But I can certainly follow up with DHRD and then also see if we have any other options for that particular meeting.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. And I know we're going to start getting more and more people asking about them as we open up.
Madam Chair, we almost have one in every community right now, so they're starting to blossom and I'm really happy. So it would be nice to see if we could find individual locations that the recovery halls would be like a daily thing that people could utilize and be open for them and have a place to congregate. And it's just part of the recovery and it's really nice to see.
Well, and I believe after having the meeting down in Dixon, people who attended it were really happy. So I'm hoping that that picks up. It's nice to have a place for them to go. Yeah. Okay, is that it then, Carol? Okay, James?
Yeah, Madam Chair. I just have we talked about the raise issue and the pay issue last week or the week before. Related to folks in the various departments that have, you know, they've done the paperwork and they have yet to receive their, you know, their increase. Some people have saying, you know, in our rank and file, their departments have filed the paperwork and there's just a delay and it's been kind of back even to October. And so I know last week, Rick and Patty and all them are gonna investigate that with the various departments, but there's definitely a problem there with the different departments and such. Some have gotten it, some haven't. And it's just causing some low morale in our staff in different places. The other thing I wanted to say, since this will be my last council meeting for who knows how long, but it's definitely an honor and privilege to be on our tribal council. It has also been an honor to be, I'll be the last official second council member for St. Ignatius District. And so it's been an honor to serve the Harley District and St. Ignatius districts. After Friday, it'll be an at-large seat. Couple things I want to say is we as a people need to be very careful of this Republican administration. I've been paying close attention to the January 6th committee that is investigating the activities of the former president on January 6th, 1 year ago. It's very clear that the president of the United States at that time was planning to overthrow the government, to overthrow a duly elected president, President Biden. They were going to actually steal the Electoral College ballots out of the Congress That's clear. So I encourage this council, as you move forward, you be careful with this Republican administration because they are supporting a president that wanted to overthrow the government. Just keep that in the back of your mind. The majority of the Republican Party and members of the Republican Party are supporting a president that wanted to overthrow the government like a third world dictatorship. That's pretty serious. That's not something to take lightly. And these aren't the run-of-the-mill Republicans. These are the far right-wing Republicans that are taking over the party, have taken over the party. Your middle-of-the-road Republicans have been pushed to the side. Liz Cheney, who I don't agree with, she's been kicked out of the leadership of the Republican Party because, according to her, she has decided not to swear allegiance to Trump, but to the United States. And as you move forward with our tribe, you can't just throw all your eggs in Democrat Party or all your eggs in the Republican Party. But you have to really be cautious of this government. And when I'm speaking of the Republicans and of the state government, we've heard from just about all of our school superintendents on the reservation. Not a one of them has shown support for Elsie Arnson. And they have stated very clearly the problems that they're having with Elsie Arnson and in that office. One of the school superintendents recommended that that position should be a nonpartisan office, and I think that's correct, but that would take amendment to the state constitution. It's okay to say no to the state. It's okay to take the state to court. Our tribe has proven successful for many, many years in battling with the state of Montana in court. And oftentimes the only way you can get the state to sit down at the table is win and beat them in court. I realize that, you know, it's a little questionable now with the Supreme Court makeup as it is, but we have proven throughout the history of our tribes that battling and having good attorneys to battle in court has proven our success. Water rights, gaming, hunting and fishing, even the bison range, we had that issue in court. I want to wish Councilman Gillen and Chairwoman Fayette many blessings on their future and future endeavors and their families. And, you know, we are a blessed nation. We have one of the most beautiful reservations, I believe, in the United States. We are a prosperous nation, and we need to make sure that all of our people have access and enjoy that prosperity and not just near the top of our economic structure. We have a very severe addiction problem in our reservation. That affects our healthcare, that affects our justice system, and that affects our elders, because what happens is we kick them out of housing and then they move in with other family. And so I know Carol and I were visiting a few weeks ago about some of the homes that we know of that are, people have just moved into those homes because they have no other place to live. And we often think, oh, there's not homelessness on this reservation. Yes, there is. And yeah, maybe it's part of their due to their own actions, but yet it affects our elders and other folks that love these folks. They're part of their families, and yes, they're addicts. It's easy to say we just, you know, let the justice system handle them, but that's not the answer. That's not the complete answer anyway. Those that want to get better, we need to figure out how to help them immediately. You know, I have a family, my son, my nephew, As soon as they wanted help, we bring them to the system and they say, oh, well, we can get to you in 6 weeks or 6 months or 3 months. And if you break your leg, you can get in the hospital and get help. But we have a whole different paradigm I think we need to think about. I think as the council moves forward, this new council, and decides who to hire for tribal health, I think you need to find somebody that thinks outside the box, and particularly in the realm of addiction. I want to thank council for allowing me this opportunity to serve with you all for the end of this term for the second St. Ignatius seat. And blessings on all the families that have lost loved ones due to COVID. And
Thank you, James. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks, James, for taking the seat for, the small amount of time. I appreciate it. I guess a couple things, usually I do a COVID update. The county hasn't really done anything as far as numbers, so I won't say much about that other than be safe out there, get your third shot if you're vaccinated. Think about getting vaccinated. If not that, wear masks, social distance, do all the things we're supposed to do as people. Hopefully we can get through this sooner than later. The saddest thing is we probably, well, I won't even get into that. Hopefully we'll get through this sooner than later. Omicron is here in Montana, like Missoula County. I think the city of Missoula had a case. So the way that spreads, I'm sure it's here on the reservation. So be ever diligent, make sure mental health, this cold weather, this being inside causes isolation for some people. Check on the people that are isolated. They need social interaction, especially our elders, our family members that may have lost people. Remember that the hard parts are actually after the services and everything. The easy part is when everyone's around and you're really distracted, and the quiet times are when things really crop up. I want to send my deepest condolences to one of my cousins that lost a child, and I can't imagine that and the pain and everything that they're feeling. So without saying names, I don't know if the families all know about that, so I'm just going to leave that one. She knows who she is. And that, having a daughter of my own, it really makes you rethink things. So yeah, mental health, physical health. Another thing that they've kind of said all along is physical health really helps COVID, recovery, all those things. So watch those type of things. I know a lot of people this time of year have resolutions. Let's keep up on those. I guess on a brighter note, the food distribution meal kits will be in Hot Springs and in Elmo today. They are today Hot Springs from 1 to 3 at the senior center, and the Elmo Powwow grounds from 4 to 7. If you cannot physically be there, you could give your tribal ID or your IO number to someone to pick it up for you. We do have families that pick up multiple boxes as long as they can provide the enrollment number and those type of things. Thank you, Matt, for the use of his hand. This is his picture from last distribution. So want to acknowledge his beautiful camera work, and he should be a hand model. So get up there, get those. There will be further distributions in Pablo, Ronan, I believe St. Ignatius, and Arlie. So those will be coming up in the near future. And I will stall for a minute until I find those. So Dixon will be Wednesday from 1 to 3 at the new building. St. Ignatius, AKA Mission, will be 4 to 7 on Wednesday. Arlie will be Thursday, 4 to 7. The location hasn't been determined. I'm assuming at the community center, the gym, the gym one, not the Indian Center. And then Pablo from 4 to 7. And we've always done that over at SKC. I hope that we can kind of do that. The reason why these are so kind of not last notice, but just kind of abruptly knowing about it is just the food supply and everything. And so when we get the food, we just want to push it out as quickly because there are perishables in there. So making sure we get it out quickly and informing people. So those dates I'm sure will be posted as they come up. Just pay attention. We'll try to keep you as informed as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Charmel and then Carol.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment in addition to what Martin was referencing, you know, the loss of the individual last night. I consider a member of my family as well. And just wanted to say that one of the things that we were remembering is a year ago, that individual was asking to go to inpatient treatment. And it was quite a topic on our text messaging among council. And it was one of the things that really inspired me and some of you to call for a priority for inpatient substance abuse treatment. And I just want to say that I really believe that every dollar that's spent on an individual who is willing to go is worth it. There's a lot of different opinions that come out at times about the cost, but there are a lot of other people that I've encountered and continue to pray for, and I see them on the court dockets, and yeah, some of them can get into a recovery program outside of inpatient treatment, and there's some success there too. But I just want to restate that, you know, this is one of those individuals that was asking for help. And there's a small window of time when that might happen. So, you know, God bless you all, and I pray for the people that are still having the struggle, and I'm really thankful for when that struggle comes to an end as well. So that is a blessing to support that family now as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charmel. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I worked the last food distribution out at Kicking Horse. There was from 3 to 7. And I tell you, those workers, it was cold out there, and they, I think they gave out 400 boxes, and they packed the boxes and gave out the food cards. And the food cards is what took a while, but I just want to thank them for their efforts and what they do. I know they get paid, but still, it's not easy carrying those boxes and stuff. So hats off to them and the other distribution locations. The other thing on inpatient treatment, you know, we talked about this quite a while ago about buying insurance for these people that want to go to treatment, and then the insurance would cover that. And why we haven't ever moved on that, I will never know, because to me, that is our way to help these people, but also be able to not break the bank, because we have a lot of people that want to go to treatment and need it. And then if we make the recovery locations available, that'll help the whole thing too. And lastly, I want to thank James for stepping up and taking on the position. And it's just an honor to work with you again and in your insight into what's going on globally, you know, not only nationally, but, you know, you just bring a lot to the table and a lot of your knowledge. Just really appreciate having you here again. And then I also want to acknowledge Shelley and Charmel, Madam Chair, for her all the efforts that she has done throughout her tenure as chair. And Charmel, your wealth of knowledge in the financial arena, I tell you, you bring a lot to the table, and I want to thank you for that. And just, it's been an honor to work with both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, with that, we're running about 16 minutes over. So I see we got forestry on. Let's go ahead and do forestry. Joe Vanderberg, good morning.
Good morning. This morning begins on page 2. What I'm here for is the Sunny Slope 5 and 10 combined. Looking for permission to advertise. The map's on page 3. And it's the sale contains 46 acres with 877 tons of Doug fir, Western larch, and also ponderosa pine. It's a tribal member only sale. And this morning, like I said, we're just looking for permission to advertise.
So I do have a question, Joe. Why are you combining them?
Originally, excuse me?
I'm sorry, I got a mask on. Was there a reason for the combination instead of bidding them out separately?
Actually, these sales we had bid out separately, and the people that won the bid, they had returned them to us. And just due to kind of a time constraint to get things done, we combined it to get them done now.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Oh, go ahead, Ella.
I don't have a question, Madam Chair. I would just make the motion to approve for them to advertise.
Motion by Ellie, second by Bean. All those in favor? Glenn?
I support.
Unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Joe? Was there anything else, Joe?
No, that's it. Thank you this morning.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, our next is Joe Derglo with the resolution approval, and it starts on page 21. Good morning, Joe.
Respect, Madam Vice Chair and Tribal Council members, Happy New Year to you. Before I start, I'd also like to echo maybe some thoughts and thanks James and Charmel and Shelley for their service for the last time frame. It's been very challenging and appreciate the work you've done to keep moving us forward. So best wishes. Thank you for your service. And good luck with the new year. My request begins on page 21. The Rocky Mountain Tribal leaders provided us announcement about some additional available funds to help us with the COVID response. I shared that announcement with the division directors in tribal health, and Jamie Lozo provided a response and a plan to use those funds to support her division with additional contact tracing and nursing staff to help specifically with COVID. I think her intent is to try to free up some of our community health nurses' time and energy to focus on some of those other health issues, and then I'm speaking for her. I hope she's on and she can correct me, but she wanted to free up their time to take care of some of the, I guess, the other health issues that some of those community members face, and be specific with some of the COVID staff that's all they would focus on. So it's a $152,000 grant. The resolution is included, an agreement with Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders is there, and the announcement is there. So the request, Madam Vice Chair, is to approve the resolution allowing us to apply for that grant.
Thank you, Joe. And the only thing I could see on the resolution is your dates you'll have to update
Okay,
because it's 21.
okay. I will do that. I will work with Abby to get that corrected.
Any other questions for Joe? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution for the grant with Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders. Motion by James, second by Carol. All those in favor? Unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Okay, so next up is Tom McDonald and Wes Big Crane with recreational changes. Good morning, Tom and Dan.
Good morning.
Esquax Spacia. Happy New Year to everybody. I don't know if Lester's on yet or not, but yeah, we're back with the annual regulation process. We're right on the deadline, the absolute deadline for approving something for next year. And so the draft changes council authorized us to promulgate for public comment under TAPO. And that has been concluded. And we've received, as we always do when we have large fee increases, we get a lot of comment. Nobody, of course, wants to pay more for anything. So the smaller the fee increases, the less comment, less controversy. So because most of the proposed changes the council was looking at had to do with increasing fees with the goal of increasing revenue for enforcement, but also a side issue would be less use because of the prices. So indeed, some of the comments that Lester has indicated that. We also had some land use closures proposed based on comments from tribal elders, and that is concentrated up in the Hog Heaven, Urban Lookout, and Chief Cliff area. And then one major known recreation area at Twin Lakes that would be closed to tribal members only, just the campground area, Twin Lakes, the two water bodies. Those are proposed to be closed. And then we included the emergency regulations that we had to adopt for the unique regulations for the bison range that were outside of our normal 44D regulations. You approved those for draft changes and public comment. We didn't receive any comment on those at all. And then we also included the bird marsh on Flathead Lake. That was transferred to us from the national organization. So the Pinckney Bird Marsh, Safe Harbor Marsh was included, and that's just simply a no boating regulation for that sensitivity for the waterfowl that are present there. I think we did get one comment on that, and that was it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, if Lester's on. He presented in a table for your consideration on all the comments. We did receive a lot of comments from reservation residents and quite a few comments from Missoula, Kalispell type people that had concerns. So if Lester's on, I'll let him go ahead and start talking about his table.
Thank you, Tom. I looked over some of the comments that were included in the packet, and of course, most of it was the cost. They figured drastically jumping it up over half, but some of the comments as well talked about giving descendants some kind of a break on the fee. I don't know what council, if they got a chance to look at some of the comments that were made. And maybe Les can give us a brief update as well, but that was just some of the stuff in the packet that I seen. I don't know how council felt about descendants or not, or the residents. Les, did you get a chance to?
Okay, I'm having problems with my camera working. I think the microphone's working. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Les, yeah.
No, why my camera is not working. Just a summary of the comments we got. Again, I've passed along some of that background information to tribal council with the emails that we had received in case anybody had any or all of you had time to look over individual ones that received, including the letters that we received also. And I kind of summarized ones I had into a spreadsheet just for your review to see what types of comments we got and who they're from. So kind of broke them down into tribal members, descendants. Again, these are all self-identified people who said that they were a tribal member, who specifically said they were a non-member and non-member descendant or reservation resident and such. I think page 42 of your handout begins to show that PDF chart that I had. And just trying to look at my page here, but so kind of summarizing what I looked at and saw that the of course the majority of the comments were from non-members, and there were a lot of see if I can see that right on my screen. The 1 second. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at my screen here. On the totals that over half of them were reservation residents, whether it's tribal member or non-member. And they were the other majority or large minority is reservation or off reservation residents of Montana, and just a couple out-of-state residents that commented. And the again, the primary comment was on the fee increases. The a majority of the non-members were opposed to the current rate, the proposal. They were many of them were saying that they thought that a fee increase was justifiable, that they would understand it, but they thought that this one might be as presented could be, they considered high. And if you read some of the comments, they use some very colorful language on expressing their opinion on that. And there were comments on from off reservation non-members, stating that they thought it was high and that they were looking to, probably wouldn't be able to afford it and they would end up going somewhere else, different lands off reservation in the state, to do their recreating. There were many comments on that they thought that it would be unaffordable for a family. So individually is one thing, but a lot of them were saying, that their spouses and their kids when they come of age. So spending that much on all of them, for a season, they would have difficulty on purchasing them for the whole family. Some of them were willing to pay that price, for going out there, and they said that they would do it. And again, some of the tribal members and some of the descendants were asking about if there is consideration for descendants, whether they, I think we had discussed that in council before to, as an option of having some other permit for descendancy. And let's see, and I remember the reservation residents, they were commenting that they thought they were, there could be more of a break for residents on the fees, so they wouldn't be considered the same as off-reservation resident and out-of-state residents on some of the fees that were all, just again, we're across the board for everybody, primarily the camping stamp. And I think that's kind of a summary I have on that, and I'll certainly entertain any questions that anyone will have.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, congratulations, Tom, on you'll be sworn in on Friday and then promptly swore at probably.
Well, Emma.
Go ahead. Yeah, congratulations, Tom. And I appreciate all the work you all have done on this effort and allowing for public comments. I think one of the letters I saw acknowledged, and I think a few of them did, acknowledge that it's a privilege for them to be able to access our tribal lands. And I think that's the way we need to remember it as a tribe, and as we are allowing these folks to utilize our lands, and that is a privilege. It is not a right. The only one that has that right is the enrolled members of the Confederated Salish Kootenai tribes, Salish Kootenai Ponderay people. And then once you get away, the other issues of that, our descendants and allowing them access and things of that nature, that'll be a constant discussion and something to discuss. But I think you all have done a fair evaluation of our fees. I think they're in line with what you all have researched with other agencies. And, I'm comfortable with them. I understand, I saw one gentleman suggested, a sliding fee scale and maybe having a pool, that folks could apply to if they were, maybe on the lower end of the economic spectrum. But I think one thing is making sure that we are able to cover the costs, that Fish and Game have, the other folks in NRD that are responsible for these areas, maintaining campsites, you all probably have tons of requests to replace picnic tables and et cetera, and outdoor facilities and things of that nature. Those are our constant. And I've noticed the graffiti on things. It just seems like some folks have a lot of free time and feel like they need to put their artwork all over everything. I think, I'm proud of you all's work for over the years. You all have tried to treat everyone as fairly as possible. And it's up to us to take care of our resource. We've had numbers of years when the state of Montana and Lake County, et cetera, were pretty happy and content when we weren't able to take care of our own resources as ably as we wanted to, and we relied on the BIA. I'm thinking primarily the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And now that, we've got we've got a staffed resource office to take care of these things, and that we're exercising our rights as a tribe to take care of our resources. I think, it's a good thing. I think the struggle with me is the pressure on our resources is definitely apparent. If you try to go up in the summer and find a place to camp up at Twin Lakes or et cetera, as a kid, when I was a kid, you could pretty much go do that. But now it's a little more of a challenge. And I think the increase in fee reflects that. There's increased usage, there's increased desire to access our lands. And I think these fees correspond with that increased usage and increased staff and manpower that's needed to take care of those resources. And we thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks staff, and congratulations, Tom.
Thank you, James.
Madam Vice Chair, if I may,
Go ahead, Tom.
just wanted to add a few more things and talk a little bit more about the history of the licenses and how we would do incremental fee increases. But when we made our recommendation, we were trying to, hit multiple issues. And so we had a lot of alternatives for council to consider, probably too many. But, we really did try to stay away from our local residents. And so we thought that the camping stamp increase was probably, the most they probably would be able to deal with as far as our local reservation residents go without adding extra to their conservation license. So what we added was council direction to double that conservation license also from $20 to $40. The camping stamp issue was one of those things we created for the same kind of issue. We wanted to create more revenue, but we were also trying to decrease uses. And when we first did the camping stamp, right at that period, you could go up to Twin Lakes at that point in time and on 4th of July weekend, and a tribal member couldn't find a place to camp. It was pretty much full of a lot of non-members that were locals, mostly from the Sague Nation area, actually. But then when we instituted that camping stamp, the next year it was incredible to see how available camping was at Twin Lakes. And so it really opened it up. It was a while that took an effect that people started to purchase it. There was a boycott of it, and some people just said, I'm not going to do it. It's too much, $20 for the whole year. What are you talking about? But they eventually started to purchase it. So that the camping stamp was really trying to hit that issue that we don't have enough campgrounds. We don't have enough developed or semi-developed places for people to camp. And just achieving that goal for our own membership, we hit the capacity limits on certain sites. So
Any additional camping pressure by, no matter who it is, can cause conflict over space in our limited campgrounds. For descendants, just want to remind you of the existing regulations, and Dan's done this numerous times, but if you're a tribal member and you have your descendant children with you, your immediate family, those type of folks, spouse or whatever, they do not need to purchase a camping stamp if they are with that tribal member in their camp. So that extra cost of the camping stamp for that particular group, if they're accompanied by the tribal member, there is no added burden other than they would still have to purchase the recreation conservation license. So it's a smaller burden for descendants and spouses of descendants as far as that camping stamp. Just want to make sure you knew that. The other thing I wanted to, the one comment we got administratively that we talked about early on and has to do with the closures. And that's the, we try to shift away from, you know, county roads, state roads, et cetera, but we do have some roads that are listed on our BI road system that in a closure, we may have to remove them from the BI road system list as far as public roads. So there are some of those roads, the 1,000 roads, and primarily they're in the Hog Heaven urban lookout area that would have to come off the BI road system. So if you enact the closures, doesn't affect the Twin Lakes closure, but it would. There's no removal of any road there from the transportation layer, but it would for Hog Heaven and urban, I believe. So insignificant as far as funding goes. We just tried to get additional funding by listing almost every road on the reservation on our inventory, just so we would acquire more funding. But just one of those considerations, you want to make sure you know that. We looked at the stuff. Dan talked about one item. You know, when you talk about these fee increases, Dan talked about with us on staff meeting yesterday about maybe for local residents of the reservation, cutting the reservation residents camping stamp in half to $50. The one footnote that I'd like to tell you is that when Jim Adams was manning the gate up on the reservation boundary last summer for the Jocko fires, and I said, Jim, you know, we may end up having more gate guard type people, and you're our best gate guard. You've been historically, you know, we've done it for a long time. We've had Southport gate guards, and I said, Jim, you're fantastic. You've been a really good asset for us. Would you help train other gate guards if we get into a program where we need to establish more closures or monitors? And he said, absolutely. I said, well, what did you encounter up there? And he said, well, you know, 98% of all the people trying to come on the reservation up on the Jocko Lake Road were out of staters. And so, you know, when you talk about the easy step on reducing conflict, easy step is dramatically increasing as you've got for the proposals out of state rec permit fees and camping stamps. So that eliminates a lot of conflict, opens up quite a bit of space, because some people just won't come because they think it's too high. They don't want to spend that kind of money to recreate on the reservation, and so they'll go elsewhere. So that's an added benefit to what you're proposing if you adopt it. The other thing was that we got comment from some of the bird hunters, and to be brutally honest with you, the pheasant hunters, waterfowl hunters, there's not a lot of conflict over space with those individuals, and it's actually been a declining subgroup of our recreationists on the reservation. Bird hunting is one of those things it's dropping in use across the country, not unique to us. So they were saying, you know, we're shoulder season, fall, you know, what's the conflict? You really need to raise the rates for us. So they had some concerns about that. The only thing I could say to you as an alternative to the bird stamp, it didn't change. None of our fishing stamp or bird stamps didn't change. It's a rec permit fee. That if you wanted to offer a break for those individuals for the conservation license going up so much, you could reduce the bird stamp fee as an alternative to that. And that could be something that could be done anytime in the future. Any of these alternatives, of course, council can change right now, modify, not adopt, whatever you choose to do, carry forward. So just a consideration. That's a great thing about your regulations is that they're annual. Your entire regulation set is annual, so you can change them each year. It's the state regulations are every 2 years. Other agencies almost takes an act of God to change regulations on the federal side. So you're very reactive and you can adapt almost any time as you move forward with managing the non-members on recreational lands of the res.
Okay, James has got a comment.
Madam Chair, you're requesting action to approve this, Tom, and is that what we're looking for?
We really do need action. That would be today would be super. Given our time frame for printing and getting it through our automated licensing system with the state of Montana, absolutely, it'd be great to do it this week.
Motion to approve the 2022-2023 regulations. Is that correctly worded?
Yes.
Motion, Madam Chair.
Motion by James. Second by Carol. All those in favor? Lynn? No. Unanimous. Motion carries with Charmel out of the room. Tom, I was just going to comment, like I said, I read through that and I know that part of it, they're complaining about the price, and they said they'd go elsewhere, I guess, by the time they jump in and put $100 worth of gas in their car and then pay the $75 a day to get in. I guess they'll realize that it really isn't that bad and the money's going back to the department for staff and stuff. So
it's
sorry to feel that way, but
Anita, it's kind of one of those things that at first there's a revolt and then after a while you get back to it. So we're going to be revisiting the issue of solitude for the membership on their own property again in certain areas for sure. But it'll be good to be able to test the waters right now with this kind of a system to see what we end up with. We should be pretty much the same income, I would guess, and we should have less visitors.
one other comment. I know that we had the elders in here, the Kootenai Cultural Committee, and I think there was some confusion as to the regulations if your department gets a chance to visit with them again and explain. And I think one of their biggest concerns and everybody else is how we're gonna control that river. That's gonna be a tough one, so.
Well, Madam Vice Chair, if I can, I'd like to, I know, we've had many opportunities to talk to the court systems with the state. And I think Dan probably can share something with you from last week that he had a conversation with the prosecutors at the Lake County, and they came and made a visit to his office. So I'll let Dan share that with you. So that reaffirms something that we were hoping that would continue, but even made it stronger.
Madam Chair. So last week I had the county attorneys approach me in my office and they were in support of the fee increases themselves. Actually, they said they would double it if they had to, they'd pay it. So they recreate on our properties as well. So some changes in the, as we had that discussion, there was some discussion as our guys citing for criminal trespass, which they are also in support of. We're going to put out some signage that specifically advises that obtaining access to tribal lands, you have to have a conservation permit, which those signs are already out there, but we're going to put no trespassing signs unless you buy this permit. And that's the conservation permit. If an individual don't have those, then in the county attorney's opinion as well, from our conversation, is that they have been given their opportunity when they read those signs of getting onto the property, and that would be their warning. In the Montana Code annotated, the criminal trespass, as I quoted in the past, was $250 fine and up to 6 months in jail. As of 21, that code has changed. Now it's up to $500 in fines and anywhere to 6 to 1 year in jail for criminal trespass. We will certainly issue those citations to people who just refuse to buy the permits and continue to be users of the property without permission. So it's good to know that the county is also looking at the court system has been watching this as well. And I feel as though at this point we have their support. And, we'll see what happens this summer.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dan, have there ever been any prosecutions for trespass in the past?
We have written some citations to the state court for criminal trespass, and yes, there has been convictions.
Are there any other comments? Okay. It's like we're trudging forward.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, Les. Now I can hear you.
Sorry, I was talking with mute. I just like to reiterate some comments that we've got from the tribal membership too. So again, we did present at some district meetings, again, along with the tribal elders committees, the Kootenai Elders Committee and the Salish Ponderay Kalispay culture committees, and we got comments from tribal membership too. Again, they were in supportive of the fee permit increases for the most part, and the again, as has been an emphasis on protection of the resources out there. So the landscape, again, as we were told again by the elders and by the membership, that we need places to go and fairly, clean, safe, healthy environment to do our cultural activities or religious activities or recreation, and that keeping the resources from being damaged or overused is very important to the membership, that as they passed along to us. And there was some of the comments were they thought that we could go further on protecting certain areas for tribal member use only, to cut down on the overuse. And as it mentioned, the river corridor being one, and the Mission Mountains up in the area that are very sensitive. The resources, the climate, the landscape is very sensitive. So we want to protect that. And they thought we could go a step further in doing that. That was some of the recommendations and comments that we had also received from the membership. And I just want to make sure I pass those along as I summarize the other comments that we received. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. And I think one of the questions was the closure, the areas that will be closed or something. There was some confusion at that last meeting, but maybe that's something we can share in the paper and the next meetings we have. And then about the river That seemed to be the big one. Thank you, Les.
All right, thank you. We will.
Les, you were muted there if you were making a comment.
Oh, I was just saying, thank you. We will. We work with our information and education program and get word out how we can.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay. I thank you guys and have a great day and happy new year to y'all and a great job on the summary here. Sure it isn't easy getting your ear chewed on.
All right, thank you. You have a good day.
Okay, and we're gonna take a 10-minute break and then have legal come in. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we got the legal department with Dan Decker. Good morning, Dan.
Morning, Madam Chair, council members. So we'll have 3 updates and issues for the council today. All 3 will be an executive session, Madam Chair. So at this point, we'd like to request executive session, please.